Rita.
Hello.
Hello. This is the second time I interview you, and I've interviewed so many people since. And for some reason, I mean, it's not about your story being powerful, but it's your mindset and what you've done in life. That, every time I say Rita, they're like, Rita, Rita, this woman, you shine light, and everyone around you feels it. And I'm one of those people that's got affected from that day. And since then, we've been in touch. And I'm so happy that you're here with us to elevate everyone that's going to be watching and elevate me as well. So welcome to Elevate with Enjy.
Thank you. I'm very honored to be here.
Thank you. So I'm not gonna, a lot of people come and tell you probably, how does it feel to be a woman in a male-dominated industry? I mean, coming from one myself, it was actually something for me that was actually positive, because you, as a smart, independent woman, you sort of use that to your own benefit, and you could do so much with it. So it's not actually a negative thing. But for me, it's again, this what you've sort of, you mentor others, and you've been through a hardship throughout your career, and you've turned that around, and look at where you are today. So talk to us and tell us about your elevating story.
I have to rectify something you said earlier. I'm not here to elevate anybody. Actually, you're elevating us by offering this platform because of your reach. And I think this should be the message. It's to utilize your notoriety, because I can say you're a very notorious person, and you're doing and you're utilizing this notoriety to be able to give a voice for those who, for instance, can't talk sometimes, or for instance, their reach is limited. So I am being elevated by you today, because if it was not for that kind of initiatives, we wouldn't be able to share what we have to share today, and to be able to voice our achievements or our obstacles that made us who we are today. Thank you so much for avoiding the very expected question of our struggle as women in very male dominated industries. I think that there's a great work that were done by many amazing females in our region to be able to tackle very concretely the subject. And I would like to believe that we have reached another level today of empowering women, of platforms that enable women to be more than just an odd number in male-dominated industries. And the conversation that we're having today in the region is no longer empowering. And I think that you remember what I told you the first day we met. Women don't need power. They already have power. What we need today is more feminists. And when I say feminist, I'm very conscious about the definition of it, because it scares a lot of people. But in my opinion, feminism today is allowing women to be what they want to be. The definition of a woman cannot any longer be defined by a societal definition of being a mother or being a non-mother or being married or being single. A woman should be able to be what she wants to be and what she feels comfortable in being. For me, that is feminism today. And we are still constrained a lot by this societal definition, where we receive a lot of, let's say, obstacles because you're not a B and C stereotype or stigma. And that's what we're trying to do today through empowering younger women to be able to completely unleash their power and not be shaped by a definition that this person has been enforced to through her career or through her family or social pressure. So that's the reason why I wanted to be here today, and to be able to voice that kind of very humble opinion through what I've been through personally.
So when you say unleash their power and not sort of be governed by the stereotypes, I mean, it's so easy, of course, for many of us to say that, given the opportunities that we've been given the life. I believe we're very privileged, many of us. I mean, as someone on social media, I get a lot of messages from so many girls and mothers that want to do so much in their lives, and either because of their parents, because of their father, because of their culture, cannot. I mean, I remember I posted once a video, and I remembered very well, and I took what you had told me about being empowered, and I said, we don't need no empowerment. And someone commented, and I believe it was, from a GCC country, saying, sit your privileged ass down. And I actually wrote an essay back to her, and my friends were like, you have to delete it. And I'm like, and I sort of got out of my bubble, and I realized not everyone is like me, or like you, or like a lot of people around us. Some people do not have that and still feel unempowered. So how do you, as Rita, person that mentors younger women, or just women, how can you help them unleash that?
It's a very complicated question to answer, because nowadays there's so much information out there that you don't know where to start. I think that you have to do it on a very small scale to start with. You can't just go and like become a TEDx talker, or I don't know, go and of course you can, but if you don't have the means to, like for example for me, I don't have the means to go to a TEDx and talk about how to help women, but I do it through corporate. For example, I hire a lot of woman interns, ladies that comes from universities and schools, etc. And I try to help them to understand what is the impact that they can have in our societies through a much more holistic approach to corporate and how to work and how to educate women around her as well. So it's a very basic, I would say, word of mouth process where you start with the people in your first line, and then those people will talk about what you said about women empowerment, and it will go on and on and on until many people will come to you and say, I heard from this lady that woman empowerment is not really what it is, or feminism is not really what it is. And men also around us play a huge role in that balance and that equilibrium of our thinking of how we should perceive ourselves, how we should be more natural, we should love ourselves more to be able to be completely ourselves. And coming back to the struggle I had a couple of years ago, this also enabled me to become more powerful, because the more you're not in touch with yourself, the more vulnerable. And vulnerability is a strength for me,
Yes.
but vulnerable in a way where nobody can attack me from outside, because I've built myself courage and strength from inside so that I don't get attacked from outside.
So you're talking about the struggle that
Yes.
you've been through a few
Yes.
years ago.
Yes.
What happened?
What happened? Lots happened. If I can resume it in a very concise way, I would think that when you're in a very busy environment and you don't have time to listen to your own thought, and that was such a very foreign concept to me. When people told me, you have to listen to your heart, I would actually almost laugh at them, because my heart doesn't talk. How could I listen to my heart?
I don't even have time to listen to
And
my
you
heart.
don't even have time to listen to your heart. And it's funny because if you don't do it, life will take care of it. And life took care of it and put me in a corner to be able to interact with myself. It's still a work in progress, of course. But from where I was and from where I am today, I have to say that I consider myself as an empty bottle of, not plastic, because it's not it's not trendy, but a bottle of glass. And I have a mission in life to fill this bottle with self-love, with nice things to say to myself. And the depression, because people struggle.
Oh my God, I'm sorry, my son just fell, I think. Okay, come sit next to Mama. Sorry.
Hi, you.
Yusuf is okay. He just hurt himself with the drawer, right? Okay, so let's talk to Auntie Rita now. Okay. Yeah, so we were saying.
Yeah, so to go back to the depression topic, I was saying earlier that it's a very uneasy topic to tackle, and since I started opening up about mental health, it was 2 years ago, I've realized that so many people are not in touch with this topic and are actually very scared of talking about it. And this is a message to those people that are very scared to talk about it. It's a blessing in disguise.
It's something that has shown me so much about myself. When you're in there and people come to you and advise you to go to the gym to shake it off, it's going to sound impossible. It's going to sound almost like hopeless. There's a lot of things that you just don't consider anymore, like waking up, getting off.
Okay, wait a second. This is intense. Like, because I remember when we spoke about it before, again, I mean, I'm not saying that you're downplaying it, but it was what we all have our down days. And I wouldn't know if I'm actually just having a down day or I'm actually getting into depression. I mean, how would I know? Take us through the process of when it hit, how did you realize, wait a second, this is not a down day, it's not a down month, or it's not a down week, or whatever it is. Just, I want to know,
Okay.
When it hits, how does it hit?
It hits hard. It hits very hard. The first few days you don't understand. You just think you're sad, and the sadness turns into melancholia. You don't know what you're going through because, again, it's not a topic that is elaborated. People don't talk about it. So for the first 6 months, I just thought I was sad. And then you realize that you don't want to go out of bed. And then it gets deeper. You don't want to live anymore. You you just don't see anything. You're just in this very dark tunnel, and you don't want help. And you don't want people to come to your house to comfort you. And you don't want anything out of life. Basically, your life becomes without purpose. You don't see yourself going to a place in 2 hours because you don't have the motive, you don't have the drive. And everything around you shuts down. Everything. You can't see anything that will lift you up. And you don't even have non-linear moment. It becomes a very linear moment, but towards the downside.
I think what you need to hug is Rita now.
Yeah.
Do you want to go give Auntie Rita a hug?
Those are very important. But a big hug. I love you.
You can go play with your brother now. Seeing you now, I can never comprehend because you're the person that tells me, take it easy, calm down. Yeah, you can. What got you there in the first place? Did something happen? Was it a series of events? Was something triggered it?
Yes.
How did you get into it?
I'm talking about a very personal opinion here. It's not a public opinion. It was just not being in touch with myself. I was living a life that was enviable and envious by a lot of people. I was always traveling. I was always, like socializing. I had a very enviable life. And a very enviable life comes with a downside.
Yeah.
You don't connect with yourself. You don't listen to yourself. You just have an agenda and a list of priorities that gets you through every day, and you don't take one moment to just listen to your thoughts, your own thoughts. What are they telling you? Are you sick all the time? Are you medicating yourself all the time? Are you always on Panadol? Do you always have flus? Your body is the best way to translate what is happening inside of you. And I was always sick, but always medicamenting myself. I was always at the doctor. Vitamins after drips after drips. And then, as I was telling you earlier, life has this very funny way of giving you a lesson. And it gave me a lesson. It put me on a corner and kind of forced me to listen steadily, to listen to what was going on inside of my body, to listen of what kind of thoughts were going inside of my body. How was I perceiving my own world rather than just perceiving the outside world? And what got me there was exactly that. I couldn't see it in another explanation, because no matter what you do, I think that the lack of self-love and the lack of love that you can provide yourself can bring you there. And again, this is a topic that is not exposed enough, in my opinion, in schools. I think that we should have a year dedicated to self-love and how to talk to yourself. 5 years ago, I caught myself being so rude. My own thoughts were rude and ruthless and mean. And I would never address a friend like that. So why do we address
Yes.
ourselves like that?
It's funny, my husband once told me, he just came up to me and said, if you have a friend that keeps putting you down the way you put yourself down, would you like that friend? Would you want to spend time with that person? I'm like, no. He's like, so why do you keep doing that to yourself?
Yeah.
And at that point, I'm like, don't tell me what to do. But then I realized, yes, you know, and so many of the women we were interviewing, part of, you know, whether they had a traumatizing incident or whether they had a sickness, an illness, or whatever it is, self-love is what brought them out of it.
Absolutely.
Okay, take me back to your depression.
Happily.
Sorry.
Happily.
It's just because, you know, recently I've actually got a message on social media from someone, a young girl who's, I think, in her 20s, who is suffering from depression and actually tried to take her life away. And you know, she's so far away, and as a, you know, as a person that's never been, you know, through depression, I it's easy for me to say, you know, wake up and love life, and so I want people to see somebody like you who's, again, you know, envious, but, you know, enviable, not envious, enviable. Everyone is envying your life because you're this superwoman that does so much and has so much power. And whenever I say your name again, everyone loves you and everyone wants to, you know, to be your friend, and that you've been through it as an adult, you know, not a teenager, and you've overcome it, and you're still striving to be the woman that you are.
Yeah.
So take us back through that period.
The first thing I realized is I am in a depression, and I've put a word on it. And the minute I put a word on it, I was already healing. When you realize and you're honest with yourself, that you say, I have a depression, or I'm going through, you know, a tough time mentally, and to not reject it, you will start healing.
Accepting.
Absolutely. You have to accept the fact that, and mental healthness is not taboo anymore. We need to wake up to that. It is okay. It's like you have a headache and a migraine. You treat it with love. The second thing that tremendously helped me is my core family and friends. I have very few friends, but they were listening. They just listened. They listened hours and hours of me not understanding what is this boiling that is going inside of me. What is this darkness? How can I tackle it? And I think that the most important as a friend to be here for somebody that is going through that is to listen, to not give advices, to not say to the person, please go to the gym or shake it off. The person that is in this state will not wake up undepressed. It's impossible. It's a lot of love and work and self-work and a lot of realization that I am in the process of healing. The third thing that tremendously helped was meditation.
Really?
So meditation
Does it really work?
So again, 5 years ago, a couple of years ago, you would have told me that I have to sit down and listen to some birds singing, or I would tell you, I don't have time. I see meditation, a lot of people have this misjudgment about meditation, that they're going to levitate or...
Yeah, reach nirvana.
Exactly. No, it's a very pragmatic and practical thing to do every morning. It takes exactly 5 minutes. And what meditation does is close those 4,000 drawers that are open in our mind and leave only one open. And that one open is what we need right now. Me and you, Enjy, are sitting here. We're breathing and we're talking. That's the only drawer we need. We don't need to think what's going to happen in an hour or tomorrow or how we're going to dress up tonight. We need the now. And meditation, and it will not happen overnight, but if you practice it 5 minutes, no more, every day, it will help you close those unwanted drawers.
How do you do it?
I just wake up and meditate.
Like you put music,
yes,
and you just sit down and completely switch off?
Absolutely. So the first month is very tricky especially for people like us in our generation, because we have a train of thoughts.
That doesn't
It
stop,
never
yeah.
stopped. It never stops. There are a couple of guided meditation on YouTube that have a lot of views, and they have a lot of views because of a reason, because everybody needs meditation. You just sit and you put earphones in your ears and you just and listen to someone that will tell you, just breathe. Just listen to your breathing. Listen to your thorax go up and down. Listen to your esophagus breathe. And then you realize how some ridiculous thoughts are unwanted, or they're not necessary immediately. You don't need them right now.
No.
What you need right now is your brain to function and your breath to function. That's all. And it's a work in progress, and this meditation also interconnects with your self-love. So the more you listen to yourself, the more your body will tell you, I'm thirsty of love. I'm thirsty, give me some love. Talk to me nicely. In the morning, look at yourself and say, I'm proud of you. And it's so difficult because we've been conditioned to think otherwise, to be harsh with ourselves and to talk rude to ourselves. But why? Why can we say this to our children and not ourselves? So wake up in the morning, look at yourself, and don't say, I have a pimple, I'm ugly, I have my first wrinkle.
Oh
Who
my God, that's what I
cares?
do to myself. Even if I'm passing by a mirror without even,
Of course.
just, oh my God, what happened there?
But why? Look at yourself and you're glorious and you're beautiful. I wish everybody could see each other with the people they love's eyes.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to say perfect, because perfection, again, it brings so much pressure on us.
Yeah.
We're just the way we are, beautiful and complete and natural. And this we should say to ourselves, to be able to, again, this bottle needs to be
Fill it up.
filled.
Yeah.
Yes, gradually, safely, surely. And you need to take steps every single day to fill this bottle, every single day.
So you accepted the fact that you were in a depression.
Yes.
You had the support of people, that were around you. You practiced self-love. You meditated. And then you got out of it?
It's more
like an
complex than
equation.
that. It's a little more complex than that. I read a lot of books as well about it. I read a lot of one book that I'm sure lots of people have talked about it over the years. It's The Power of Now by Eckhart
Yes, of
Tolle.
course.
And Eckhart Tolle has this unbelievable way of equalizing a very complex matter, which is the mind, into something very simple. It's just that you need your thoughts only for now. You don't need to think, what is going to happen with my future? Am I going to succeed in my life? Am I going to be like all these people that I see and I envy, etc.? So just limit your thoughts to the now. You don't need, I'm saying this out of theory, of course, because in practice it's not difficult, it's achievable, but it takes a lot of self-work. So no, I didn't get out of it magically. It took me a lot. And also, I think that it's unbelievable because we restrict ourselves so much. I took a decision on 1st of January 2017. It was my only resolution, and I woke up on the 1st of Jan and I said, I'm done. I don't want to be depressed anymore. And it didn't vanish, but it was not there anymore.
Really?
It was not there anymore. I took a very firm decision. It was in my guts. It was in my core. I said, I'm done. I think that I've learned the lesson. Yet there are many lessons to learn more. But the lesson that you've given me, dear life, to learn from this, the humility that I got from it,
I've taken it. I'm done. I
Yes.
took it, and now I'm going to move on
I'm
with my
done.
life.
Absolutely.
And now you mentor other women. What is it? What kind of programs do you give, and where do you do it, and how did that come through?
It's funny because when you're in the right place, everything comes to you.
Yes,
like
I
you came
always
to me.
say you manifest it.
Absolutely.
Life is all about manifestation.
You just came to me, and this program just came to me. So it's a couple in France that have this platform where students and university graduates reach out to more experienced people. So they tell you whether they want to be in your line of work or whether they want to be in your industry or discipline, and you just mentor them through the year. And I wish a platform like that existed 20 years ago, because
We needed that.
we needed that, and it eliminates so much from what I've tried in my career, etc. Again, those experiences were very valuable for what I know today, but it eliminates a lot, and especially that this younger generation is so sharper than us and is so more focused, and they know more what we want. At that time, I knew what I didn't want, but I didn't know
what I want.
I still don't know what I want, actually. So it's a great platform, and also it's very rewarding because you feel like you give back to youth.
Community, yeah.
Absolutely. And they take so much from you, and they take it very seriously, actually. So I try to mentor 2 students per week.
Okay, nice.
For the rest of the year. And also I think that it's important to make, because most of people are afraid of corporate, and it's normal to be afraid. It's a very uneasy word. It's a word also where women have lost so much of their femininity in the 90s and the 2000s, because you needed to push away this feminine side of yours to become more of a male, to be able to compete with your male peers and to be able to sadly be taken seriously. I think it's no longer required. You can be a very, feminine woman and be able to thrive in a corporate environment. You don't have to be loud or be aggressive to be able to make it. You just have to, balance your thoughts and have an added value that is very wise and very balanced. And I think that I'm trying also to communicate that to them, because I wish somebody told me back then.
Yeah. These women, young women, are they mostly women that you mentor?
They're both,
Okay.
but I chose to, give more time to women, for instance, because I know that it can be more difficult for certain women to reach certain industries, for instance.
Okay.
Yeah.
Before I go to my next question, I just want people to know what is it that you do now, just because I think it's such a big deal that you've been doing this for this long and you've been through that. And so what does your job consist of right now?
Okay, I had the marketing and communications department within an automotive group. I handle 9 brands. It's been a journey. I've been in automotive for the past 12 years now. It was not like that when I first joined. I was probably the only female in the regional offices I worked in. Thankfully, if it changed, there's a lot of diversity. There's a lot of women that are taking bigger decisions now. Lots of manufacturers that have CEOs, CFOs, female. So I'm really happy to see that things have progressed. It's still a challenging industry in terms of processes, etc., in terms of women recruiting, but we've gone so far from where I first started. Yes.
What is your view about, the cultural pressure on being married? I mean, a lot of I wouldn't say parents or whatnot. I mean, you've done so much in your. I mean, I actually did a campaign for Mercedes when I first started, this career, and it was sort of like a small film about a GCC Emirati, I think Emirati or Saudi woman that is very passionate about painting. And throughout, it's about working hard, and she's driving the car, and all she could think of is her mom's voice saying, "Shubaddik, with what's happening, you need to start a family and get married and start a family." And she's she's upset, but then she goes after her dream and she opens her own art gallery, and there's a lot of pressure in our culture. And actually, I'm realizing really in a lot of places around the world, as a woman, be successful in your career, but don't let that career take away one of the basics in life. What is your view on that?
Another complex question.
It's all about I have you here. I'm gonna ask you all the complicated questions, because I just feel a lot of girls, again, I'm just telling you from the questions and the comments I do get on my my private messaging, is a lot of girls, young girls, whether they're in Egypt or anywhere around the world, that want to do so much with their career, but they have that pressure, and I just never know what is the right thing to say to them. And I feel, as a person in the career I've chosen, I should have a voice. I should be able to say,
Absolutely.
to give them my 2 cents. Yes. But again, it's easy for me to say because I am married with kids, and because I had I lived with my parents. I was never independent. It was for me from my parents' house to my dad's, to my husband's house. But you've been on your own for quite some time. So obviously there's the hardships of it, but what would,
Yes.
I won't say 2 cents more or less. It can be 500 words.
I meet so many women, mashallah, they're achieved and they're struggling because they're like, yes, I'm 42 and I'm not married. I'm like, so what? It's again, if you want to, it's all right, but you don't have to be burdened by it because it's not a end definition to who you are. It's not an
Yes.
end definition to your achievement. You've achieved so much already. And again, achievement can take so many forms, Enjy. Even somebody that is, like by the society is not creating NGOs and things like that. Look at what you're doing. It's more than enough to be able to give a voice to those who don't have a voice sometimes. Or, I mean, we're privileged to, my word is give back. Give back in the way you're giving back. And don't be belittled by definition of, yes, if you're married you're better, or if you're not married you're not better, or if you're divorced you're a failure. We're in 2020. We have to go beyond that. We have to create, we have to give back, we have a whole youth generation to look after. Let's prioritize, let's live with a purpose. I mean, being married is good, but being not married is not necessarily not good.
Yeah. Rita, I will always have that look on my face when I sit with you, because honestly, whoever is watching, sitting in front of her, the energy that you have and that aura and the whole vibe is incredible, and I understand why everybody loves you.
I'm so grateful. Thank you.
And
so
mentoring
grateful.
is definitely your thing. And I can't wait to meet those little, young girls that you do and see where they were and where they've become.
Thank you so much, Enjy.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.